What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone secreted by the beta cells of the pancreas, which enables the body to use glucose and convert it into energy. After a meal, the digestive tract breaks down carbohydrates and converts them into glucose. The glucose is then absorbed into the bloodstream through the mucosa of the small intestine. Insulin then signals the cells in the body to absorb the sugar and convert it into energy. Insulin helps maintain the balance of blood sugar. When the level of glucose in the bloodstream is too high, insulin signals the body to store the excess in the liver. The stored glucose will not be released until the blood sugar level drops, such as between meals or when the body needs an extra boost of energy. Before the discovery of insulin, diabetes was a fatal condition. The only treatments available at the time were fasting and calorie-restricted diets, often called starvation diets, but nothing was truly effective in maintaining adequate levels of glucose in the blood and keeping people with severe forms of diabetes, now known as type 1 diabetes, alive for more than a few months. Several scientists were involved in the discovery of insulin, but the final results were attributed to the research work carried out from 1920 to 1922 in Canada by the team consisting of physicians Frederick Grant Banting, Canada, John James Ricard MacLeod, United Kingdom, Charles Herbert Best, USA, and James Bertram Collip, Canada. Of these, Banting and MacLeod were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1923 for their work on insulin, but controversies surrounding their selection exist due to the work of Romanian physiology professor Nicolae Constantin Paulescu. On October 31, 1920, Frederick Banting had the idea to isolate the internal secretion of the pancreas. In the following week, he met with John MacLeod in Toronto, Canada, and they developed a research plan. By August 1921, Banting and his assistant Charles Best had prepared an efficient extract from canine pancreas. On January 11, 1922, Leonard Thompson, a 14-year-old boy who suffered from diabetes, became the first person to receive an injection of insulin. However, Thompson developed an acute allergic reaction. In the following 12 days, biochemist Collip worked hard to purify the insulin, and a second dose was injected on January 23. Measurements at that time showed that the blood and urine sugar levels dropped and returned to normal. Leonard lived another 13 years, according to the Lancet Medical Journal. Banting and Best published the results of their research under the title The Internal Secretion of the Pancreas in the Journal of Laboratory and Clinical Medicine in February 1922. However, while studies were underway overseas, Romanian physiology professor Nicolae Constantin Paulescu had already discovered pancrein, later named insulin, in 1916 and tested the pancreatic extract on dogs. He continued his research and presented an extensive work on this topic, titled Recherche sur le rôle du pancréas dans l'assimilation nutritive, Research on the Role of the Pancreas in Nutritive Assimilation, at the Archives Internationales de Physiologie in Liege, Belgium, on June 22, 1921. This work was published in the August 1921 issue of the journal, Archives Internationales de Physiologie, Liege, Volume 17, page 85. Paulescu then applied for patent rights for his method of producing pancrein at the Romanian Ministry of Industry and Commerce, which was granted on April 10, 1922. When Banting and MacLeod received the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1923, the Romanian scientist wrote a letter to the Nobel Committee, explaining that he should have priority for the discovery of insulin. However, his request was rejected. At that time, the two, Banting and MacLeod, claimed that Paulescu had suggested that injections of pancrein in human subjects would not have an effect. In 1971, Roy Fluft, the then president of the International Diabetes Federation and the Nobel Committee for Physiology and Medicine, highlighted that Banting and Best misinterpreted Paulescu's research in their 1922 paper published in the Journal of Laboratory and Clinical Medicine. Paulescu, maintains that injections into the peripheral veins do not produce effects, and his experiments show that a second injection does not produce an effect as important as the first. The two wrote erroneously, as observed by Luft. Also, Roy Fluft argued that it was a mistake on the part of the Nobel Committee not to credit Paulescu for his discovery. In his opinion, the prize, Nobel, should have been shared without any doubt between Paulescu, Banting, and Best. In 1993, the National Institute of Diabetes, Nutrition and Metabolic Diseases in Bucharest was named in honor of Nicolae Paulescu, and in 1994 a stamp was also issued in honor of the Romanian scientist. Despite the controversies surrounding its discovery, 100 years later, access to insulin, as well as to the materials and technologies associated with it, remains inaccessible for many people, with significant inequalities existing both globally and within each country. Did you learn anything new from this video? If so, and you want to discover more uncovered facts from around the world, please like, subscribe, and leave comments about what other subjects you would like to learn more about.